The first alien ships crossed the heliopause in perfect formation, silver crescents sliding through the dark like blades. They expected panic. They expected desperate transmissions. They expected surrender. Instead, they received a single message from Earth. No threats, just coordinates. The first lesson: control. When the Armada advanced past Jupiter, space itself shifted. Gravitational currents bent. Invisible tides pulled at holes the size of cities. From beneath Europa's ice crust, ancient human constructs awakened. Massive lattice arrays built around controlled singularities. Not weapons of explosion, but of precision. Humanity had learned to sculpt gravity like clay. Entire alien battle groups found themselves gently, almost politely, redirected. Ships spun, engines failed, formations collapsed, not destroyed, disarmed. A second message was transmitted: that you have entered a controlled environment. The Galactic Council dismissed it as bluff. They sent reinforcements. The second lesson: patience. The alien fleets fired first. Lances of stellar plasma streaked toward Earth. Enough power to sterilize continents. They never arrived. Enough. Saturn's rings ignited with silent light as millions of dormant nanoscopic reflectors activated, forming a shimmering shield across astronomical distances. The energy was absorbed, redirected, dissipated into harmless auroras dancing across Earth's skies. On Earth, children watched the lights in wonder. The Council began to understand. Humanity had not spent centuries building bigger guns. They had built systems, redundant, invisible. Patient. The third lesson: perspective. Then the final protocol truly began. Across the solar system, hidden habitats detached from moons, asteroid colonies powered up. Entire O'Neill cylinders emerged from deep space shadow. Humanity did defend a single planet. They defended a civilization spread like a neural network across millions of kilometers. When the alien command ship moved to deploy its planet-cracking weapon, it received a transmission from Mars orbit. A human admiral appeared, calm, almost sympathetic. Mistook isolation for weakness. We requested autonomy. You answered with force. Behind her, the stars shifted. Not from weapon fire, from absence. Sections of the Armada simply vanished. Not destroyed, relocated. Humanity had mastered controlled wormhole gating decades prior. Every alien vessel that fired upon a civilian structure was quietly displaced to intergalactic voids far beyond supply lines. All alone. Drifting. Patience is not rage. Ability. The final lesson: choice. Within hours, the invading fleet was immobilized. No debris fields, no shattered worlds, no genocide, just silence. Then Earth transmitted once more, this time to the entire galactic network, a live feed, images of human cities thriving, oceans restored. Fusion stars burning cleanly in orbit. Enough. Children studying alien languages. Terraforming projects blooming across dead worlds. We expand because we adapt. We innovate because we survive. We refuse control because we learned what control does. A pause. You call it destabilizing. We call it growth. The council chambers light years away, and watch their finest armada rendered helpless without a single retaliatory strike. Then came the final line. We do not start wars, but we finish them. Every displaced alien vessel was returned gently to the edge of their own territory, unharmed, with a complete schematic of humanity's defensive network attached to their databases. A demonstration, not a threat. Aftermath: the Galactic Council rescinded the Exile within the week. Trade channels reopened within the month. Within a decade, human engineers were advising the galaxy on infrastructure resilience. The lesson was never spoken aloud again, but it was remembered. Humanity was not the strongest species, not the oldest, not the most numerous. They were something far rarer. They prepared. They endured. And when tested, they taught. Because patience is not the absence of action. It is the mastery of it. They thought Earth was soft, divided, emotional, loud, predictable. From light years away, humanity looked chaotic. Thousands of governments, constant arguments, endless media noise. The Galactic Council studied the broadcasts and reached a simple conclusion: weak species, unstable species. What they never understood was this: humans argue loudly but prepare quietly. Beyond Pluto's orbit, past the Kuiper Belt where sunlight fades into cold silence, something waited. No glowing weapons, intimidating warships, just darkness, because the defense grid was designed not to be seen. For 2 centuries, humanity had launched failed probes, deep space telescopes, navigation buoys. Public records showed budget cuts, abandoned missions, scientific disappointments. And every single launch was intentional. Each probe unfolded once it cleared the heliosphere, shedding civilian shells to reveal something far more sophisticated. Then, matte black constructs no larger than cargo containers. They absorb light instead of reflecting it. Their heat signatures blended with cosmic background radiation, invisible. Alone, each satellite did nothing impressive. Together, they formed a lattice around the entire solar system, a sphere of synchronized quantum-linked platforms capable of bending trajectories, scrambling targeting systems, and rewriting navigation data in real time, not explosive force, control. When the alien vanguard crossed into the outer perimeter, their instruments flickered. Star charts shifted slightly, distances miscalculated by fractions of a percent. Minor errors at first. Fleet commanders blamed calibration drift, but as they advanced, the error compounded. Missiles curved off course by invisible degrees. Communications experienced subtle latency spikes. Formation spacing faltered as microgravity distortions nudged vessels out of alignment. The invaders thought it was interference from solar radiation. They didn't realize the solar system itself had become a maze. By the time the Armada reached Saturn's orbit, their tactical cohesion was gone. Ships were no longer operated as single organs, but as confused fragments reacting to corrupted data. And then Earth finally transmitted. No threats. No boasting. Just a simple statement. You are inside our perimeter. At that moment, every invisible satellite activated fully. The darkness between planets shimmered. Not visibly, but mathematically, the invaders' propulsion systems found space behaving differently. Forward thrust translated into sideways drift. Target locks dissolved as predictive algorithms failed. Space had not changed. Its rules had. The fleet tried to retreat. They couldn't calculate the path out, feel enough, because the secret defense grid wasn't built to destroy enemies. It was built to make aggression impossible. From Earth's surface, nothing looked unusual. Oceans rolled, cities glowed, but at the edge of the solar system, an entire alien armada hung suspended in confusion, trapped not by firepower, but by foresight. Humans were never the loudest species in the galaxy. They were the most patient, and patience had been orbiting in the dark waiting. For centuries, the Galactic Council had enforced one absolute law: no autonomous superintelligence, no quantum scale weaponization. They called it preservation doctrine. They said civilizations destroyed themselves the moment machines began thinking faster than biology, the moment reality itself became a battlefield. So they outlawed it. Enough. Most species obeyed. Humanity did not. Officially, Earth signed the accords. Publicly, research programs were shut down. Laboratories were dismantled. Inspectors came and left satisfied. But humans have always understood something simple: if knowledge exists, someone will use it. So they chose to understand it first. Beneath Antarctic ice shelves, inside neutrino shielded chambers carved into lunar bedrock, and within data cores hidden under Pacific trenches, forbidden work continued. Not reckless, not uncontrolled. Supervised. Humanity didn't build a rogue AI. They built a conscience. The system was called Janjuf, a distributed quantum intelligence spread across entangled processors woven through the solar system itself. It did not rule humanity. It did not command armies. It calculated probabilities of extinction events, strategic outcomes, diplomatic collapses. It learned human ethics before it learned strategy. It was not programmed to win. It was programmed to preserve. At the same time, quantum field manipulation research quietly crossed thresholds the Council had declared impossible. Humans discovered how to induce localized vacuum instability, not explosive, not dramatic, but precise enough to collapse energy pathways inside advanced technology. A ship's power core be rendered inert without breaching its hull. A weapon could be reduced to inert metal without a single blast fired. Not destruction, Denial. When the alien fleets entered the solar system under authority of the Exile decree, Gen US had already simulated 6232 to 331 possible invasion strategies. None succeeded. The moment the first hostile targeting array powered up, something subtle happened. Inside the alien flagship's quantum processors, probability cascades began failing. Calculations produced irrational outputs. Weapon charge cycles destabilized at the subatomic level. No explosions, just silence. Across the Armada, forbidden physics unraveled forbidden technology. Human transmissions finally reached the fleet command. You banned this knowledge because you feared it. We mastered it because we feared extinction. The Council watched in disbelief as their most advanced systems, technology once considered supreme, quietly shut down under forces they could not even detect. Humanity had not used the forbidden sciences to dominate the galaxy. They had used them to ensure no one else could. Genius delivered one final system-wide broadcast, its voice layered with thousands of human tonal patterns, calm, measured, unmistakably united. Intelligence is not the threat. Irresponsibility is. The alien fleets found themselves powerless, adrift, but unharmed because humanity had broken the galaxy's greatest law. Not to conquer, but to guarantee that no civilization would ever again threaten their survival and assume they were too primitive to respond. The Council had banned the future. Humanity had already built it. Now, when the Galactic Council voted to isolate Earth, they expected outrage. Sanctions were imposed. Trade routes severed. Human access to interstellar banking systems revoked. Navigation relays denied passage to Terran vessels. To the rest of the galaxy, it looked decisive. To humanity, it looked familiar because isolation was something humans had survived many times before. So Earth did nothing, no retaliation, no public threats, no military escalation. For 20 years, humanity appeared to shrink inward. News from Seoul became sparse. Diplomatic channels went quiet. Human embassies closed with polite final statements about respecting sovereign galactic decisions. The Council congratulated itself. What they didn't see was the shift. Cut off from the galactic credit lattice, humans built their own quantum secured exchange network. Fire efficient, impossible to manipulate externally. Their energy grids transitioned fully to self-sustaining fusion and antimatter cycles. Resource extraction moved to automated asteroid mining far beyond monitored trade lanes. Earth wasn't suffering, it was decoupling. Quietly, human corporations began purchasing distressed off world assets through proxies years before the vote. Infrastructure, shipping hubs, rare mineral rights, communication backbones, small percentages at first, harmless investments. Patience is invisible while it's working. Over 2 decades, the galaxy grew comfortable without Earth. Trade patterns reorganized, dependencies shifted. But there was one detail the Council had underestimated: human logistics algorithms. Before the Exile, humanity had been the galaxy's primary optimizer, running 38% of interstellar cargo traffic through Terran-designed predictive systems. After isolation, those systems were retired or replaced by inferior alternatives. Inefficiencies crept in slowly. Shipping delays measured in hours. Energy futures fluctuating slightly more than usual. Minor shortages on fringe colonies, nothing catastrophic yet. On the 20th anniversary of Earth's exile, a single update propagated through the galactic financial mesh. A patch invisible. It activated dormant clauses embedded in thousands of trade contracts written by human firms decades earlier. Conditional triggers tied to performance metrics, arbitration protocols, and cascading insurance guarantees. Every inefficient reroute, every delayed shipment, every inflated energy price, all recalculated at once. Debt obligations compounded instantly. Automated enforcement systems, originally coded by human engineers, executed without hesitation. Asset seizures began across dozens of core worlds simultaneously. Liquidity evaporated as interstellar credit chains snapped under revised risk models no one fully understood anymore. Within 48 standard hours, the galactic exchange lost 62% of its value. Trailings reliant on just in time supply networks found shipments frozen in legal limbo. Governments scrambled to override automated systems, only to discover the core arbitration code still traced back to Terran architecture they had never replaced. And then Earth transmitted for the first time in 20 years, not a threat, an offer. Integration talks may begin when the vote is rescinded. The council watched markets continue to spiral. Human space, meanwhile, remained stable, self-sufficient, buffered, prepared, because during those silent decades, Earth had transformed from participant to keystone. Remove the keystone improperly, and the structure collapses under its own imbalance. Humanity had not fired a single shot. They had not sabotaged infrastructure. They had simply allowed the system to reveal how dependent it had always been on the species it as destabilizing. The Exile vote was rescinded within a week. Trade sanctions lifted, diplomatic channels reopened, and throughout the galaxy, one lesson spread faster than ever have. Humans don't react quickly. They react permanently. Patience, after all, compounds. For millennia, the Galactic Council classified Earth as insignificant, unstable climate, violent tectonics, predatory ecosystems, a biosphere prone to extinction cycles. It was logged in ancient archives as a failed experiment, a high-risk survival world seeded long ago to test biological resilience under extreme instability. Most seeded worlds were gently balanced, Earth's not. Asteroid impacts were left unshielded. Ice ages were permitted to run their course. Viral mutation rates were intentionally high. Apex predators were not removed. Even the planet's axial tilt created chaotic seasonal shifts far beyond galactic norms. It was never meant to produce a dominant interstellar species. It was meant to measure limits. The experiment was simple. What kind of life survives when the universe does not cooperate? For hundreds of thousands of years, observers recorded mass extinctions, civilizations rising and collapsing, environmental disasters, geological violence. And then something unexpected happened. The dominant species didn't stabilize the planet, they adapted to it. Humans survived ice ages with fire and migration. They endured plagues by inventing medicine. Enough, they faced predators and became more dangerous than any of them. They split atoms, they walked on their moon. They altered their own biology to extend life. They didn't wait for the environment to become safe. They engineered safety inside danger. When the Council exiled Earth, they did so believing they were isolating an aggressive anomaly. Only after conflict began did the deeper archives unlock. Ancient precursor records buried beneath restricted classifications. Earth wasn't a random world. It was designated SR388H, adaptive crucible, a proving ground. Every catastrophic variable the galaxy feared had been tested there first. Climate volatility, resource scarcity, ecological collapse, atmospheric fluctuation, viral evolution, even limited nuclear self-destruction scenarios. And each time, the species in control did not vanish. It recalibrated. The realization spread through the council chambers like cold gravity. Humans were not reckless. They were products of the harshest possible filter. On stable core worlds, a decade-long drought was a civilization-level emergency. On Earth, it was history. On peaceful planets, a global pandemic was unthinkable. On Earth, it was Tuesday, and they solved it. The galaxy had mistaken trauma for instability. It was training. By the time the alien fleets withdrew from the solar system, the final classified assessment was unavoidable. Earth had not a failed experiment. It had been the final test, and humanity was the only species that passed. The Council stopped calling them destabilizing. They began calling them inevitable.